Welcome into Around the Felt. My name's Reagan. I'm here with Colin, and we're ready to talk all things Week 7 in the NFL. Can you believe it, Colin? We're already 6 weeks in at this point. The season is flying by. I hate it. I love it. But I
hate
also hate it.
I love it. We're a third of the way through the regular season already, and it's crazy. We're inching up on the trade deadline, coming up in a couple weeks, starting to get some chatter from some teams that might sell given where they are right now. So that'll pick up next week and the following week. But, it's a busy time in the NFL season. Some teams are digging out of a hole to try to save their season. Other teams have already waved the white flag, like the Tennessee Titans, who fired their coach. So, a lot of interesting storylines, a lot of good games on the slate this week, particularly later on Sunday and Monday. So should be a fun one, man. We got another London game, 2 Monday night games. I like the way they set it up this week.
Yeah, I definitely do too. They did it in a good way, only having the 15 games, but love the 2 Monday night games staggered and giving us a London game. And even, what do we get? 4 4:00 games. So job well done, NFL. Job well done.
Yeah, the 1 o'clock slate does not look that sexy, to be honest with you. But
yeah, only 6 games, but that's all you need. It's enough to keep you intrigued.
It's enough to keep Red Zone pumping. Hopefully not many commercials. So, hey, should be a good Sunday, man. Should be a good weekend of football. No news. We touched on a lot of news on Monday's pod, so nothing really has materialized since then. But some of you did submit questions, which we greatly appreciate. As a reminder, just let us know. DM us if you got a question. We post a link on the Instagram. So all those questions, we greatly appreciate. It's the most fun part of the pod is, interacting with you guys and what you submit. So, Reagan.
Yeah, the only sort of news I'll say real quick that's good is, those of you who have George Kittle in fantasy leagues, he was activated off the IR today, and it sounds like he's trending on coming back. So, sorry, Jake Tunges, you're going back to the waiver wire. And those who drafted George Kittle and have unfortunately not been able to use him much this season, like, hey, you're getting your top-tier tight end back, especially with how bad, Bowers has been injured as well, and Trey McBride hasn't been what he was. So, Kittle could, if he's back and fully healthy, slide right back into that number 1 tight end in fantasy very quickly.
Yeah, the timing worked out well for you in our fantasy league because you picked up Jake Tonges and started him, and you played Jared Tong and Zach Tong. So you're able to have a pretty good fantasy name for a couple of weeks, but now it's back to the drawing board.
might have to bring him back just for the culture when I play you.
Yeah.
Just to complete the sweep on the 3 stung Tooges. That was good.
That was pretty good.
That was good. All right, but let's get to the questions. First up, we got different Jared Crampton submitting questions tonight. Jared first wants to know, and this is for fantasy football, who are your top 5 wide receivers for the rest of the season? That's great, Jared. It is.
That's great because, this Puka Nacua, even with the injury, he's got to be in that top 5, absolutely. But do you put him at 1 with the injury?
No, I put St. Brown at 1 right now.
Over JSN.
Yeah, I go St. Brown just because the Lions offense is basically game script proofed in the sense where I can't see that offense getting completely shut out in any given week, where Seattle, would you be that shocked if they had a game where they, put up no touchdowns and Darnold looked terrible and they were sub 100 yards? No,
but one thing I'll point out with JSN where, I can get behind St. Brown at number 1. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just one thing for JSN, which is why I would slot him in at 2 and probably Puka 3, is the Seahawks have one of the lowest passing rates in the league right now, which means they're running the ball with Charbonnet and Walker a shit ton. And JSN is still absolutely cooking dudes. The fact that he did it last year with Geno and this year with Darnold, the fact that he's doing it more on the outside this year instead of playing in the slot, obviously we know Metcalf out wide, is huge for his outlook for the rest of this year. And he kind of silenced a lot of the doubts. So I got JSN at 2, maybe even lean him 1. I think you got Puka at 3. I think Jamar Chase with Joe Flacco might be saved and might be up in that tier. Of course, CeeDee Lamb's coming back, and there's always Justin Jefferson, right?
Another guy I'm giving looks to as well is just over the past 2 weeks he had a bye mixed in there as well. But Drake London, the past 2 weeks he's played 26 targets, 18 catches, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he's been a beast. A slow start with a bye week mixed in there. But if he keeps it up, you saw in that Monday night game, Michael Penix was going to Drake May nonstop. And the only time he wasn't was for a weird screen or check down the Bijan or Kyle Pitts. So it was the Drake London show completely. So I think he deserves some consideration there as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if you actually slotted him at 5 ahead of Jefferson because McCarthy's
Yeah.
practicing back with the ankle, and we haven't seen them kind of gel yet.
Plus, I think Jefferson's safe. I just think his upside is capped. With some of these other guys, like I don't know if there's going to be many weeks where Jefferson's going for 150 and 2 because of McCarthy, where some of these other guys, like I think they can do it on a pretty consistent basis.
Yeah, I think CeeDee Lamb's got to be way up there now because we see what Pickens did without him, and the Cowboys' offense is not slowing down. Doesn't matter who's out there, and they have the lowest ranked defense in football right now, allowing the most yards per game. So, yeah. Slot in CeeDee Lamb right up in that elite tier.
For sure. All right, next one, also for fantasy football, specifically redraft leagues. He wants to know: keep, trade, cut. AJ Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., Lad McConkey. It's a good one, Jared.
That's really good because it's 3 guys that have not lived up to their draft status just yet. But Brian Thomas last week looked awesome.
Yeah, it's easy for me, I think. I'm going keep Brian Thomas. I'm still bought in. I still think the path's there. I think they're going to figure it out there. I'm going to trade AJ Brown because ultimately I think the talent is also there. And I think, Patullo is eventually going to get canned. Or lose his job. So as the play caller. So I think they're going to get somebody else in there that will actually be able to call a competent offense that realizes, hey, we should focus on getting AJ Brown the ball more. And I'm going to cut Lad. Lad just had a big game last week, but Quentin Johnston wasn't there. I'm still worried about that team overall right now in terms of that. Like, I don't think Lad will ever return on his value in that middle to late second rounder. So I'm going to cut Lad.
I agree with your 3. I do think it's worth noting that we were on the don't draft Lad at that ADP bandwagon all the way back in July. And I think that video on TikTok has like 30,000 views. So feels pretty good, like getting one right there. So I agree. I would definitely cut Lad. Your point with no Quentin Johnston, which who would have thought 6 weeks through the season, we'd be like, yeah, Lad had a big game because no Quentin Johnston. Like that's not what we thought was going to happen, but it's the reality right now. And, I agree wholeheartedly. I do think AJ Brown will have better days ahead. But yeah, I agree. Brian Thomas, after what we saw last week, like the guy went for 1,300 yards last year with a combination of Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones, Mac Jones has shown a lot in San Francisco. But yeah, I think Brian Thomas is just kind of that guy right now. And he doesn't have as much competition for targets from the rest of his offense.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I'm fully bought in on him. So we'll see. But I think there's a lot of better games coming for Brian Thomas as we saw last weekend. So I'm excited to see how he progresses as the season goes. And I'm sure you are if you're asking about that. I'm assuming these are some guys you got in fantasy, Jared. So, but let's move on to Walmart. Walmart, what's up?
Yeah, Walmart.
I guess nothing.
Tough one for your commies, dude. That's why we didn't get a question on Monday.
All right. This is for fantasy football. Start 2, bench 1 for this week. Bill, Jordan Mason, DeVonta Smith.
Bill coming off the fumble.
But it's against Dallas.
It's against Dallas. I think against Dallas, you got to start him.
Yeah, Jordan Mason against the Eagles.
Jordan Mason
home
against the Eagles. I mean,
I believe Aaron Jones is not expected to be back yet. I'm going to check on that real quick because that would definitely factor into it.
Jalen Carter, I'm assuming, is going to be back. Like Scatterbo just scored 3 touchdowns, but no Jalen Carter. And then you have DeVonta Smith against Minnesota, who has been so boom or bust, I feel like. I would probably go with Bill and Jordan Mason, to be honest with you.
He can't play this week, Aaron Jones, because they had the bye week in there, and he was on the IR. So Aaron Jones will not be back, so that definitely is a huge factor for me. And then DeVonta Smith against the Vikings. I am going to probably say start Bill and start Jordan Mason, bench DeVonta Smith. It's just too risky right now. Well, I think there are better days ahead for this Eagles passing game. Right now, it's been so inconsistent. You've been dudded so hard where you see Bill got the volume completely last week and what he was able to do. Wasn't amazing, but the week prior he got a ton of volume and had a big game, and Dallas's run defense is terrible. So I think the Commanders are fully committed to Bill and what he can achieve. And, when it comes to Jordan Mason, he's another guy pure volume, you want to play it. Like you're going to put up both of these guys in, and they'll probably get 20 touches. Where DeVonta Smith, like you're not even guaranteed 5 targets with how inconsistent this Eagles passing attack has been.
Some quick math for you to support that, Reagan. Eagles run defense right now, 26th in the league, allowed 8 rushing touchdowns. The Minnesota passing defense, second best in the league, allowing 157.6 a game. Only 5 pass touchdowns allowed all year. So with the way that Eagles passing offenses looked, like I know Smith could have had a monster game against the Giants if Hurts actually hit him on that deep ball. But just playing matchups there, I think Jordan Mason's the safer play for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that was his one question. So let's move on to Chambers right now. Chambers,
hey, Jambo!
He wants to know for Thursday Night Football, and this is a betting question, Chase and DK, anytime touchdown at plus 145. Both have 4 on the season. Who do you trust more to find the end zone? So that's interesting. I mean, both of them being at 145 or plus 145.
I'm going to go with the DK Metcalf. I actually trust more, and it's not because I think he's a better player. I think it's because the Bengals have the second worst pass defense in the football, with the Cowboys only being worse, and they've allowed 13 touchdowns through the air thus far this season. So give me DK Metcalf to get in the end zone. And, you know, I do think Joe Flacco is going to find Jamar Chase. I actually think they both score. So I think that's a pretty good parlay.
Yeah, I don't think he was saying to parlay it. I'm curious. I don't think they were plus 145 together. I think they're both individually plus 145 to score.
Oh, they both are individual. So parlay that. I like that. Was that plus 4?
Let me check, because I could have read that wrong. I mean, I would imagine it wasn't parlay. I find it hard to believe. Yeah. No. Yeah. Right now they're both plus 135 on DraftKings, so he probably was looking somewhere else. But
oh wow.
Yeah. So if you parlayed them both, it's not working right now. But anyway, I mean, it would be 2 plus 135 guys. So like you said, like around plus 400. So I like Chase a little bit more to score, just because of, you know, the 3 touchdowns in the past 2 games. You know, the Bengals making a conscious effort, like, hey, we got to get this guy the ball. We got to ultra target him. And I think Joe Flacco is smart enough to go to him. I actually even think T. Higgins gets in the end zone. So I think this game is going to be a lot more high scoring than Vegas is projecting. I know the over under last I checked was at 43.5. I don't know if that's been changed much, but yeah,
I'm seeing
I definitely 44 now. So it's going up a little bit. I like the over in this game though as well. But that was the only question he had. So yeah, that wraps up the questions. You know, thank you for that. But before we get into the games, are there any props you like for tomorrow? I always kind of like to do it on these Wednesday pods, considering that's really the only game where like lines are out and we know pretty much the full storyline.
Yeah, let me rip up the app. You know, I mean, I just mentioned I think Metcalf is going to have a big game here. You know, that Bengals passing defense is just garbage. I mean, it's a little bit better than their run defense, so I don't know if I'm necessarily looking at the Steelers' backfield at all.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I locked in. I did a 6-legger to win 975. It's plus 3,800.
Woo!
It was T. Higgins 50 receiving yards, which, believe it or not, is plus odds. Joe Flacco 250 plus passing yards. Jaylen Warren 25 plus receiving yards. It just seems like Rodgers loves his receiving backs, and Jaylen Warren's a pretty good receiver. I took Yoshi Voss for 2 catches just because I saw him getting a decent amount of targets last week and dropping them. So I kind of like that for a little bounce back game. And I took Chase Brown 50 rushing yards. I think this Pittsburgh rushing defense isn't anything special, and I think this is a spot where he could get right. But I still believe in the talent of Chase Brown. I think it ultimately is stemming down to no Joe Burrow. And then, like I said, over 43.5. So those 6 legs get you 38-1 odds.
Yeah, DK has scored 4 games in a row. I didn't even realize that, dude. He's coming off 95 on 4 catches last week, and then 126 on 5 catches a week before. I actually kind of like a DK Metcalf receiving yard ladder. You go 60 plus at minus 144, 70 plus at plus 106, 80 plus at plus 154. I kind of like that ladder.
What book is that on?
FanDuel.
Oh, go to DK. Better odds.
Really? Yeah. Really? Okay.
Everything you said is slightly better on DK, the odds.
Okay. All right. This is why you cross-check books.
Yeah, literally. You ain't doing yourself justice if you're not doing that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So why don't we get into the games? I just wanted to go over that real quick and, you know, see what you were thinking.
Yeah, let's do a little recap after the Monday night game. So we were both on Buffalo to win and cover. Obviously, that did not happen. So we got
No.
that wrong. You were on Commanders to win and cover. I was on Commanders to win, but Bears to cover. So I was very close to hitting both sides there until that Jayden Daniels fumble with the handoff. So I got the spread there. So that gets me to 47 and 46 on the spread in the season. One game behind you at 48 and 45.
Still trailing the king.
That's what hey, I went 10 and 5, you went 5 and 10. It could change any week. So I made up a lot of ground on you there. And then money line, you went 7 and 8, I went 11 and 4. So I'm 55 and 37 and 1, you're 52 40 and 1. So we're very, very tight in the race there.
That's all right. That's all right. Long season ahead of us for that.
Yes, sir. All right, let's start with Thursday night, man. The Steelers and the Bengals, the game we've been talking about. We just mentioned what we like. Pittsburgh 4-1, Cincinnati 2-4. Of course, 4-game losing streak. Trying to break that against a divisional opponent at home for Cincinnati. Steelers 4.5-point favorites. As we mentioned, a 44.5-point total now. Your thoughts here, Reagan? Do you believe in Joe Flacco slinging that thing?
Actually, I do. I'm taking the Bengals to win and cover in this one. I think this is a great spot for them to get a win at home. It's a divisional game. I think the line is actually quite disrespectful because I kind of think the Steelers are overrated. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm super bought into this team right now. Like, I don't think they've had, the hardest schedule and really been tested ultimately. I mean, they've beaten the Browns last week. They beat the Vikings in an international game. They beat the Patriots, who are better than I thought, but still like not fully bought in on them because we don't even know how good Buffalo is, and that's their biggest win. And then they beat the Jets. So I don't think this Steelers team is anything crazy. I think they've just been a benefactor of an easy start to the season, where I think this Bengals team is going to be better with Joe Flacco at the helm. I think this offense looked as good as it can look for acquiring a quarterback midweek and kind of throwing him in there. So I was still impressed with what Flacco was able to do in such short notice. So I think another week, even a couple extra days, like, it's that much more beneficial. So, and we already saw he has chemistry with both receivers. So I think this offense is going to be able to put up some points. And, I'm not too afraid of this Pittsburgh offense that it's like, well, the Cincinnati defense is terrible. Like, I actually think this is a game that the Cincinnati defense can, kind of be protected by and not show all of its holes because of the fact that the Steelers don't have that scary of an offense.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers to win and cover on the road here. I'm not super confident in this play for sure, but for reasons I highlighted, like their second worst pass defense in football. Rodgers has been taking care of the ball. He has a shit ton of passing touchdowns thus far this season. I think him and Metcalf are going to have a field day. I don't even think their run game has to be that involved. And at the end of the day, I do agree with you where Joe Flacco definitely elevates this offense's ceiling. And I think it could be a good day for Chase and T. Higgins here. But for me, I think Pittsburgh has the quarterback advantage. They have the coaching advantage. I know it's a divisional game, but I don't know, man. Cincinnati, 4 straight losses. Vibes are not high. I do think they break this losing streak soon. I just don't think it happens against Pittsburgh. I have my faith in Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf. I also think if the Steelers go to 5-1, they're the most fraudulent 5-1 team for sure. I also agree with you. I don't think they're battle tested yet, but I can't put faith in Cincinnati right now. Like, I really can't. I need to see Joe Flacco go for 300 and win a shootout because he has to protect this defense. And I just don't know if they have it. And also one thing too, I don't believe Flacco really got sacked that much last week. Very, very tempted to see how this Bengals offensive line holds up against the Steelers.
He's just so smart. Like, he just knows he's got to get the ball out quick. And that's, that's why teams continue to trade for him, to sign him, to give him opportunities, because he's just that good at getting the ball out of his hands and just being a vet that you can put in there. I mean, we saw what he did for the Browns a couple of years ago. I mean, he basically came out of nowhere and was lighting the world on fire and slanging that thing. So he can still slang it around the yard, especially with these weapons.
I will say maybe he's a little ticked off after Mike Tomlin's comments in the media last week, where it's like, I don't understand how you trade a quarterback that you thought highly enough to be your opening day starter to a divisional opponent that is struggling in that area. Maybe they took that to heart and they're like, yo, fuck Mike Tomlin. Let's go whoop their ass. And they play with a chip on their shoulder.
Such a baby.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's wrong, but I also don't know if that's something you have to say at a press conference.
I don't think it matters. You're going to do what's best for your franchise. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, worry about your team, Mike. Win a fucking playoff game.
And rivals aren't even like the same anymore, Like, I feel like, I almost feel like Buffalo views Kansas City as more of a rival than it does like the Jets and the Dolphins at this point. I mean, it's not true, but it's like, You know what I mean? Like they're just as much a rival and may even hate them more. And same with the Ravens. Like they might honestly hate the Chiefs just as much as they hate any team in their division at this point.
Yeah, it could be true when you're that dominant. All right, the London game, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time sharp. I love it, man. I love just getting comfy, cozy, watching ball all day, starting with a cup of Joe. Early slates. We got the Rams and the Jaguars. Rams are 3.5-point favorites. 3-point favorites. 3-point favorites. Line moved. Line
has moved a couple times. I've seen 2.5. I've seen 3.5. Ultimately, off of my book, it was 3.
Ultimately, we settled with 3 because it's the big bet of the week, and we couldn't agree on who got the hook. So the compromise was if the Rams win by 3, we both got to do the punishment here. I'm on the Jaguars. Reagan's on the Rams. Reagan, what is our punishment this week?
Yeah, I mean, the Halloween season is here, and pumpkins, while they're fun to look at on the inside, are very, very disgusting. So the loser has to cut open the top of a pumpkin. They're going to have to go find a big old pumpkin that they can fit on their big old pumpkin dome, and then put it on their head and just let all the pumpkin grossness leak out onto them. And, you'll put a tarp under it, and you can just see on the video as the pumpkin droops out onto this person's body.
Yeah, it's a good punishment. I don't think anyone's going to throw up for this one. Maybe you do. Maybe one of us throws up. But I don't know, dude. I kind of feel like the Rams are going to win by 3. I just have a hunch.
Yeah, that would be fun.
All right, so you got the Rams. I got the Jags. Explain to the audience why you think the Rams are going to win, and I'm going to have a pumpkin on my head.
Yeah, I just think the Rams are, and while they obviously lost Puka, I still trust Stafford in this. He's been playing really well this year. Like Trevor Lawrence has struggled a lot to me. Both teams have good defenses, so I think that'll travel. I think it may be similar to last week's London game where it's low scoring and it's more of a defensive affair, but it ultimately came down to what defense do I like more, and it's the Rams. I mean, they have the better defense. They have the good pass rush. And I think they're just going to have to rely more on Kyren Williams and DeVonta Adams in this now that they have no Puka Nacua, and I still think they can get it done. But I'm expecting a big Kyren game here. That's why I'm putting him in Big Dogs parlay this week, and yeah, it'll be good.
Whoa! I mean,
I'm 1-0, and I'm 1-0 in my picks for Big Dogs parlay.
You are with Rico Dowdle was a revenge game, executive decision, and yeah, that one paid off. So
maybe
I can tell you right now, I only have one guy as a shoe-in lock for Big Dogs this week.
Yeah,
he's in the 1:00 slate. Do you want to take a quick guess?
Yeah, it's Rico Dowdle again.
No, it's not Rico. It's Quinshon Judkins against the Dolphins. I think that's a really good spot. It's a really good spot. But yeah, I'm open to suggestions. So maybe if this wasn't the big bet of the week, I'd be more receptive to your Kyren Williams. But
you need a revenge game. That's what you need.
Yeah, I need a revenge game on the slate, dude. That's doing us well. Look, I'm going with the Jags here, and I will caveat with this with saying I think the Rams are a better team. Like, absolutely. I think no Puka Nacua is a problem. I was surprised how poorly the offense looked against Baltimore, only scoring 17 points last week when Puka went out. But the real reason I'm going with the Jags is, number one, they are London's team. I think it's going to be rowdy for the Jags. Number two, for some reason, the Rams are flying into London on Saturday.
That is a little odd.
Slightly concerned about some jet lag with Liam Cohen, downplayed it in the press conference. But for me, it's that jet lag flying in Saturday paired with the Jags being London's team.
I'm through.
I think they could pull off the upset outright. So I'll take the Jags. Keep the damn points yet again, Rig. And I'll go with the underdog. It's been doing me well. Keep the points. Let's go with the Jags, London's team.
Wow. Pumpkin head tongue. Love it. Love it. You're going to look so good in your pumpkin goo.
Yeah, maybe if you win a big bet,
goo, bud.
you could start talking shit, but it's 4-0. 4-0 this year. I plan to keep that O going for another week.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's hit that 1:00 slate, man.
Okay. Right.
The Saints at 1-5 at the 3-2 Chicago Bears. Chicago coming off a unlikely but great win against the Commanders the other night. Obviously, they need a little bit of help with the weather, with the fumbles, but they got the win. And Caleb did his thing.
They did.
Bears are now 4.5-point favorites. There's a 47.5-point total here on this one. Do you believe in the Rat Man, or are the Bears going to keep it rolling here and get a nice little win streak going?
I like what I've seen from Chicago. I think they're going to keep it rolling. I do think they're going to cover here. I think they can win this one by double digits. And yeah, I haven't been overly impressed with the Saints on the road. Like, they play well at home, but on the road, they've been blown out. So I think this can be a similar feat. I think Chicago blows them out here, even if DJ Moore is to miss this game, which I know he was hospitalized. So I'm not really sure if there's been an update on that since. But I know
they think he's fine. It was like a groin issue.
Okay. Well, still, I mean, I even if he misses, like, I think Luther Burden, is a guy to look at for, a start, especially if DJ Moore misses. He wasn't a participant in this week. I would think they hold him out, so that makes Luther Burden to me a very intriguing option if he's out on your waiver wires for a spot start, especially with how he's been utilized. Like last week, he's starting to get more and more of a role.
Yeah. I actually saw that the Bears have the highest passer rating when targeting all of their weapons when it goes to Luther Burden. And the lowest is Zacchaeus, who has been playing over him. And Zacchaeus actually has more targets than DJ Moore, I think.
Yeah. But, I mean, hey, he had 4 catches last week. So I'm just saying if DJ Moore misses, a guy to look into for a spot start. But, yeah, give me Chicago here. I'm impressed with what I've seen from them recently. And it seems like the tides are turning with Ben Johnson at the helm.
I agree wholeheartedly. I got the Bears winning and covering here. I mean, I just think they're the significantly more talented team. I think they can dominate New Orleans in the trenches here. I mean, Swift kind of had a pretty good game the other night, and I think that could continue against the Saints. Even with no DJ Moore, I'm just not concerned because, like, I know Romo Dunes didn't necessarily have a monster game, but there were a couple opportunities where it could have been another monster game for him. So I expect him to kind of get back into that realm, and the Bears offense will be too much for this Saints team. I don't think Rattler can keep up, particularly on the road. So, yeah, give me the Bears here to win and cover.
I got lucky with Rome having a bad game. I'm in one of those chopped leagues. Are you familiar with what that is? It's basically the eliminator. So we ended up starting it. I did it with one of my fantasy leagues. Sleeper offers it like as its own thing. It's pretty cool. It keeps track of it itself. But we started it. We decided to do it in week 3. So week 3 was we drafted in week 3. The first time we started was week 4. So it's a 12-man league. Every week somebody gets eliminated. The bottom scorer gets eliminated, and all their players get released to waivers. Everybody gets $1,000 fab. So it's pretty cool. I was really looking like I wasn't going to make it. Like, I had a 15-point, if that. No, it wasn't even. It was like 12 points. I was up on the next closest guy. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get chopped because he had Bill and Rome, and both Bill and Rome did like really nothing. I think they combined for like 8 points. So I ended up making it through, and I was like only had a 12-point gap, and I'm like, there's no way, because the way Rome's been playing, I thought for sure, like, even if he didn't get a touchdown, like, he was going to get like 4 or 5 catches and his full point PPR. So I was super lucky, with him only having, 2 catches and whatever yardage he got. Sorry, Crampton, if you're listening.
Yeah, and I know you have Rome in some other leagues too, so that must have been a conflicting battle for you.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about him. I think this is just a one-off game, but it is a little concerning after the bye week that, he had all that momentum and, he ultimately didn't get a lot of targets. But that could have also been more of a conscious effort on the Commanders that, like, hey, this is Caleb's top guy. Like, let's take him out. Because you saw early on, like, DJ Moore was getting it too, which could be another thing too, is the fact that DJ Moore, target share had been down prior. So that could have been an effort on the Bears to get him more involved early.
That's a good point. All right, next one on the slate, the Miami Dolphins at the Cleveland Browns. Both teams sit at 1-5. Not the sexiest game by any stretch of the means, but the Browns at home are 2.5-point favorites with a total of 39.5. Wow. With how bad that Dolphins defense is, the fact it's 39.5 is crazy to me. But I got a feeling you're going with your boy Dylan Gabriel and the Brownies. Am I correct?
Yeah, you are. I am going with Dylan Gabriel. I am going with Quinshon Judkins. I like them young Bucs over there. But also I still have some sort of faith in the Browns, like, in the sense where, like, they're still going to fight. Like, the guys love Stefanski. He is a good coach. It's just not a great situation. But, he's a guy who's won Coach of the Year. He's a guy that clearly you can see hasn't lost the locker room, where on the other side, like, that locker room is in such shambles right now. Like, I don't care. The Dolphins could, start out well, but I have no faith in them. And that's 2 weeks in a row where they've, blown leads super late in the game and lost. So how could it not be more deflating than that? That it's like, you're between the Panthers and the Chargers, like you should win those games and you'd be 3-3 right now, but instead you blow late game leads and you got your starting quarterback calling everybody out. So a lot of it is too just the fact that I think the Dolphins just morale is cooked and they're just going to kind of roll over in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you too, man. Like, I know Stefanski's catching a lot of heat in Browns country right now. They're like, I don't give a shit that he was a 2-time coach of the year. Like, this offense looks bland. It looks boring. Like, I don't really know what the direction of the team is here, but I think it's a really good spot for the Browns. I mentioned many times how much better their defense is at home.
Yeah.
And I think Myles Garrett and Mason Graham and the boys up front can have a really good day against this Miami offensive line. I also think it kind of plays into the way the Browns can win games when you consider that the Dolphins have allowed the most rushing yards per game in the entire league. So they can ride Quinshon Judkins in that defense and get a win at home behind the crowd. So that's kind of the game script I'm seeing. Like, I wouldn't touch the total here, even at 39.5, because I could see a 17-10 Browns win. But
not only that, dude. I mean, they had 17 rushing attempts last week. Like, you think they don't know? Like, hey, maybe we should run the ball more. Like, maybe
exactly.
Dylan Gabriel throwing the ball 52 times is an answer. So not only the fact that the Miami is a bad run defense, but also the fact that you had 52 of your 69 offensive plays were passing, and you only put up 9 points. Pretty telling. Maybe you should run the ball more.
Yeah, not a recipe for success. I fully expect Judkins to have 20 carries, over 100 yards, and a touchdown in this game.
I'm going to see right now if let's see if they even have any lines out for that yet. I don't think they do, but I am curious if they do. What his they don't have any. Oh no, they do. His line is to have 90. He's plus 109, minus 144 for 80. So if you think 100 yards, it's plus 164, which isn't that juicy. So it looks like Vegas is expecting a game. And for him, the score is minus 125, which I feel like is pretty good value. Even HN at minus 120, I kind of like that as well. But
yeah, I kind of like both of those, to be honest with you. But Judkins is definitely a shoe-in for big dogs. So you heard it here first, folks.
You got the early scoop.
All right, the Patriots are at the Tennessee Titans. The Pats, of course, one of the good stories of the season thus far at 4-2. The Titans, on the other hand, the first to fire their coach at 1-5. Pats 6.5-point favorites on the road, 42.5-point total in this one. Do you believe in Cam Ward with an interim head coach to get a win at home here?
It's kind of bullshit. Mike Vrabel doesn't even get his him over me moment. He doesn't even get his him over me moment.
Maybe that's part of the reason they canned him this week.
So line 6.5, like you said, I do have the Patriots winning. I think they should, be in control most of it. But I had to factor in that interim head coach bump that it seems like most teams usually get in the first game.
That's exactly what I thought. Exactly what I thought.
So, and I think a lot of people will be like, oh, the Patriots are going to dominate. Like, Vrabel's going to want to run up the score. But I don't think that'll be the case. Like, I think they're way better than Tennessee, so they should win. But, yeah, I think it may be, like, potentially by a field goal or, like, a little less than a touchdown. I could even see it being, like, tied going into the fourth quarter where it's like, yo, Cam Ward's having a pretty good game. Maybe Drake May struggled a little bit because a lot of people are a little bit high on him right now. Like, I see his MVP odds. He's, like, 11-1 now, which I don't know. I don't see it happening. I still don't think he's at that level yet. I think it's a little bullish just because of the fact that they just beat Buffalo and Buffalo loses. So now they're the 1 seed and all of a sudden he gets a huge jump. But yeah, give me the Patriots to win, Titans to cover. I do think Ramondre gets in this game as well.
Yeah, I hate that. It should be Travion Henderson. I'm still going to die on that hill. But I agree with you too, man. I have the Pats to win, but the Titans to cover. Hey, it's my guy. Get my guy the fucking ball, dude. Come on. Yeah, but I got the Patriots to win, the Titans to cover. I think it's a real thing, that interim head coach and kind of that got nothing to lose mentality at this point, where I think it's real that at home they can stay in this game. 6.5 just feels like a lot to me, but ultimately the Titans are bottom 10 in total defense, rushing defense, scoring defense. So even with Cam Ward's struggles, I don't know. With the way Drake May's playing, I don't see this as the team that's going to slow him down necessarily. I think Ward will probably play a little bit more loose, like fuck it at this point. So I think he can do enough to keep him in this game, but it's just hard to back the Titans, man. Like it's just
really hard to back the Titans right now because they're not a good team right now. They look
even
terrible.
6.5 point spread. I'm still like, oh, like it's a lot of points, and it's a Pats team, which, as we mentioned earlier, I don't think they're truly battle tested yet. Besides that win against Buffalo, so yeah, but I'll take the Titans to cover it, but not super confident in that play. All right, moving on here. The Las Vegas Raiders at 2-4 traveled to Arrowhead to face the 3-3 Chiefs. The records don't tell the story because the Chiefs are 12.5 point favorites over the Raiders with a total of 45.5. Of course, the return of Rashi Rice. The Chiefs got their full arsenal at Patrick Mahomes' disposal, who's been unbelievable this year. I got to imagine you're picking the Chiefs to win. 12.5 is a fat number. Typically, you don't take the favorite at that line, but are you thinking differently here? This time you are.
Yeah, dude, Geno's terrible. He's an interception machine. I think this defense is going to feast, have their way with him. I think it's going to be tough for them to establish the run with Genty. So I think the run game's not going to be there. Bowers sounds like he's out, so it's just going to be an uphill battle. And on the Kansas City side, I mean, they're getting the reinforcement back, Rashi Rice. I know fantasy owners are rejoicing, but I think the offense, who's looked great as of recent, looked really good against Detroit, is going to have a big game here. I think Mahomes, another big game, really pushing for another MVP type season the way he's played through 6 games. And yeah, I think it'll just be total domination. I could see it being like, 35-7, 35-3. Like I think this one could almost be by 30 points, that big of domination.
Yeah, I agree with you. I got the Chiefs to win, Chiefs to cover. I don't see 35-3, but I could see like 31-10, and I'm like, yeah, that's an ass beating. Yeah, I don't think Pete Carroll has the Mahomes rules like Antonio Pierce thought he had as the Raiders head coach. So, I mean, the Raiders are plus 600 on the money line. That's nuts for an NFL game. But yeah, I mean, come on, Geno Smith's a turnover machine, and that's just not going to play at Arrowhead for the Raiders to win this game. He's got to play the cleanest game he's played all year in a hostile environment, while the Chiefs now have their full arsenal for the first time all season. I don't see that happening, dude. I just, they just beat Detroit by 13. Like, I think they could beat the Raiders by 13. I'm sorry. Like, so I got to take Kansas City here. I think it's a pretty easy call.
Hey, all right.
All right. We agree. That's good. We agree. Eagles at Vikings, probably the best game in the 1 o'clock slate. Actually, it definitely is the best game in the 1 o'clock slate here. Philadelphia, obviously, on a 2-game losing streak, sitting at 4-2 now, but Vegas doesn't care. They're still a 1.5 favorites over the home team, the Minnesota Vikings, who are 3-2. McCarthy back at practice. He was a limited participant today. Carson Wentz, a full participant. So we don't know who's going to start. My hunch is it's going to be Carson Wentz. Revenge game against the Eagles.
Roman big dogs.
Oh, does that change my play? Oh, I don't know, man. What do you think?
Wentz in anytime. Big dogs. Revenge
Carson
game.
Wentz anytime. That would really.
I would give it some juice.
I can't do that, dog.
Scared puppy don't make money. Scared puppy don't make money.
That's a good saying.
Yeah, I can't wait to call you a scared puppy on when he scores. I'm still going with the Eagles. I don't care. I mean, both quarterbacks ultimately are very bad at this point. I mean, McCarthy obviously has some time to fully write out, but we know Carson Wentz is.
Both Vikings quarterbacks are very bad, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can call JJ bad yet. We don't know yet.
I'm just saying, like, I don't trust him I don't think he's going to play good in this game. Like, if he plays,
you can say that, yeah.
Like, I'm not saying he's like, he has a lot more time to develop, but I think he's going to struggle in this. And so far, all he's shown is that he's struggled in the NFL. Granted, it's been 2 games. So, yeah, I'm not going to say he's a bust or bad yet. We don't know.
Wait, did he win NFC Offensive Player of the Week 1, though? But that was like 1 quarter worth of like going nuclear.
Yeah, I wasn't ultimately very impressed with him in that game. I mean, I guess the fact that he was able to lead the comeback was impressive, but the majority of that game, no, I was not impressed with him. But yeah, I'm going with the Eagles here. I just can't see this team dropping 3 in a row. I just think they're going to make adjustments. They're going to look better. I could be wrong, but it's just one of those teams, like, they won the freaking Super Bowl last year. Like, they have the guys, they have the horses. They're going to get it done here. I think Saquon has a good game here as well, bounce back game, but I think something needs to change. And I think Philly's going to be fired up, and, Super Bowl teams bounce back. and they're going to bounce back here.
Yeah, the big matchup here for me is that Eagles offensive line against that Vikings defensive line. It's no secret the Eagles offensive line has not been on the same level this season as they were last year, where they were utterly dominant, and Barkley has not had as many running lanes. The thing with Minnesota, as I mentioned earlier to Walmart's question, why to sit DeVonta Smith? This is the second best pass defense, but they're bottom 10 against the run. And that's what Philly needs to do to win this game. So, hate to say it, I got to go with the Eagles. I don't think they lose 3 in a row. I mean, they lost like one game of their last like 20 or something before that. And I know vibes might not be the highest right now, but they're just too talented. And given the uncertainty at quarterback for Minnesota, if it's Wentz or it's McCarthy, same page as you. I don't really give a shit. I think the Eagles win this game by probably a touchdown, maybe 10 points. But it's got to be through Barkley and Jalen Hurts using his legs. I don't think if Hurts throws the ball 35 times, they're going to win this game.
Probably not, no. Yeah, so you want it to be on the ground. I agree.
Yeah. All right, man. We get to talk about two of your squads, the Panthers and the Jets. The Panthers are your Cinderella. You've been backing them boys, but the Jets are your actual team. Panthers now at 3-3. Jets, of course, the only winless team left in the league, 0-6. But Vegas, not super bullish on the Panthers, despite the Jets' 0-6 record. Carolina only a 1.5 favorite with a 41.5 win total. Jets are already 0-3 at home. So it seems like the Vegas line, this is a decent spot for them to get their first win of the season and at home. But what say you, man? Do you believe in your Jets?
No. I'm going with the Panthers. I don't want the Jets to win. I want them to lose. And there's no reason they should win. The defense has been very bad all season outside of last week where out of nowhere they decided to be good. The offense is putrid. We don't have Garrett Wilson, so who the hell is Justin Fields throwing the ball to? Mason Taylor, yeah, like that's great. If he's in your fantasy leagues, he's a must pick up right now. Like he's probably going to get 15 targets in this game, but like any of the wide receivers, like you can't justify playing in fantasy. Like maybe Alan Lazard at any wide receivers gets lucky and scores, but I wouldn't want to put any of them in my lineups. And, if you're the Panthers who, actually have a much improved run defense, like why would you not stack the box, keep contained on Justin Fields, bottle up Breece Hall and be like, hey, we'll fucking throw 8 in the box. You can beat us with these terrible receiving core. So I think the Panthers get it done here. I think another big game for Rico Dowdle. If Chuba doesn't play, you might want to throw him in big dogs. The Jets' run defense really isn't good, even though out of nowhere they figured it out. But I also think that's just the London effect where defenses always travel. So I think they'll regress back, and I think Bryce Young could have a big game here as well. And Ted will probably coach sauce. Probably.
Yeah, so Chuba actually practiced today for the first time since his injury in a limited capacity. Reports are Carolina said it will be more of a even split in the backfield when Chuba does return. I usually do big dogs on Fridays, so I don't know if I have enough clarity. If there's no Chuba, like absolutely I want Rico Dowdle in this goddamn parlay. Like, no doubt. If there is Chuba, but even if he's back, like, I don't know, like we saw Tyrone Tracy come back and Scatabo still dominated the backfield, like his first game back. Even if their plan is to get Chuba Hubbard back to an even kind of split, I don't know if that necessarily means for this week. So yeah, Rico is certainly in play for big dogs. I actually initially had the Jets, and then I was like, oh, wait, duh. They don't have Garrett Wilson. No fucking way is this team scoring enough points. Like, I don't know, dude. I know they're at home, but this just seems like a good spot for Carolina, the 1.5. It feels trappy, does it not?
In terms of what? That everyone's going to take the Panthers?
1.5. Yeah, they're only a 1.5. Like, everyone's going to take the Panthers with no Garrett Wilson.
It does feel a little trappy. And this probably is one the Jets will win, but I just don't want them to. Honestly, like, what's the point? Like, I want them to lose out.
Yeah,
just lose out. Like, if we won last week,
October.
And it's funny, if we won last week, I would have been like all in for it because then we have the Panthers, Bengals, and Browns over the next 3 weeks. So I'd have been like 1-5, 3 winnable games. You go somehow you win all 3, you're 4-5, but even 3-6, it's like you never know. But fucking like if we win, it's just gonna be annoying. Like, I don't know. Especially if we get on a streak. Like if we win the next 3, it's just gonna be like, what the fuck? That's probably what'll happen. We'll get streaky and get to 3-6, and because even Vegas, like somehow I was checking the win totals, like they still have the Jets at like even odds for 4.5 wins, and I'm like, you really think the Jets are gonna win fucking 5 out of their next 6 games or 5 out of their next 11 games?
I don't. But yeah, I mean, I think to your point, like Sauce can have a good day against Tet, but it's going to be the running backs that win this game for Carolina.
I think Tet's going to cook him.
You think Tet's going to cook Sauce, huh?
Probably overrated. I'm done.
Dude, he's a two-time first team All-Pro. You just called him overrated. You're done with this team, dude.
I'm just angry.
All right. We don't have to talk about your team anymore, buddy. We can move on to the 4:00 slate here. The Colts at the Chargers. What a banger. Colts at 5-1, Chargers 4-2. Snapped their losing streak last week. LA is a 1.5 favorite here with a 48.5 point total. Very, very high total here. I like it. I'm digging the 4:00 slate, man, and this is a good one to get us started. Do you believe in Daniel Jones? Can he go on the road and beat Justin Herbert? This is what I think is I mean, they lost their first real test, right, to the Rams. This is another legitimate test. Even if the Chargers don't have their top two tackles in Amari and Hampton, a very well-coached team, a most likely a playoff team here. Can Jones get it done? What do you think?
I'm going with the Chargers here. I think they're the better team. I still think this game will be close because of all the injuries on the Chargers side. I ultimately gave them the nod being the home team. If the Colts were the home team, I would have taken them because I do like what I've seen from both offenses so far. But I'm going to go with Justin Herbert, who is the better quarterback. That's kind of what was the deciding factor for me here. But give me Herbert in a close game. I do like the over. I like over 48.5 in this game a lot. I think there'll be a lot of points. I think, Herbert will get his. And, I hope you guys listen. Like, Vidal, if he's still out there, like, which probably not in any competitive leagues, but if you're in any of those, like, family leagues and stuff, go scoop him up. I mean, he got, like, all the touches last week. So it seems pretty cut and clear that he is the guy until Hampton's back, which it sounds like Hampton may be out more than 4 games. So you may have a nice starter for the next couple weeks that really helps you solidify a playoff spot.
Yeah, I got him in one league, and I'm starting him absolutely in this matchup. I also have the Chargers here, man. I think Justin Herbert is that dude. Quentin Johnson, I'm hoping is back in the lineup because I need him in fantasy football. Never thought I'd say those words, but it's true. The Chargers have a top 10 total defense, a top 10 passing defense. So it's going to be a big Jonathan Taylor game, I think, for the Colts. But Jesse Minter, a name that is getting a lot of buzz for a potential head coaching job this offseason, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. I think he's going to cause a lot of problems for Jones in this one. And I think it's going to be probably a 3-point win for the Chargers. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, a close game. But ultimately, Herbert is the better quarterback. They're at home. I think Harbaugh's the better coach. Even with their injuries, man, I think the Colts have not been tested yet. They don't have a legitimate, awesome win. And I think this would be one. But I think the Chargers are a better team here. Give me the Chargers at home.
It probably explains, too, why you said Jonathan Taylor, big game. In my half-point league, he's projected 23 points. So ESPN's projecting him to have a big game as well.
23 points,
and that's
bro.
Like no bonuses or anything. That's just regular half-point PPR scoring, like no 100 rushing yard bonuses, anything like that.
Yeah, I think Vegas knows that if the Colts are going to stay in this game and win it, it's going to be on the back of Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. So hopefully you didn't listen to Colin and drafted him.
Well, he can get hurt. He can get hurt this week, and then it's like, I told you. Like,
yeah, it's true. It's true.
All right. It doesn't look good yet, but not that I'm rooting for an injury. It never would.
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
I actually flipped out. I actually flipped out an Eagles fan who was rooting and cheering after Jackson Dart went down. I was like, sit down, bitch. We don't root for injuries around here. So I'm a big believer in that. I put my money where my mouth is. All right. Let's move on. The New York Football Giants, man, at the Denver Broncos. Vibes are high in New York, even though they're 2-4, fresh off that win against the Eagles. Denver 4-2, fresh off an ugly win against the Jets in London. And hey, doesn't matter. They got the win. Denver, a 7.5-point favorite. It's a pretty big spread here. Total 40.5. It's actually the same exact spread the Giants were underdogs to Philadelphia last week. Giants plus 300 on the money line. That is a very low total. I guess it makes sense when you consider how elite Denver's defense has been and how their offense has kind of been struggling a little bit to start the season here. But what do you got, Reagan?
I'm taking Denver. That defense is just so good. I feel like Dart's going to struggle a lot in this game. You know, we just watching last week's game for the Jets. Like, yeah, a lot of it was the offensive line, but a lot of it was just how good that Denver defensive line is. So I think they're going to cause fits here, and I think it's going to be hard. I mean, you know, you saw a very similar offense last week where there's not a lot of talent. So it's going to be a lot on Dart to make plays and Scatabo in the run game because that wide receivers core is not great. And, you know, you want to say Darius Slayton's your top receiver right now. Well, guess what? Pat Surtain's going to take him out completely. So
Fine,
it's,
do it.
you know what I
it,
mean?
fine.
Like, so it's going to be tough in that sense. And I think there's a good bounce back spot for that Broncos offense. So I think they win by like 10 here. I think the Giants have a good enough defense to keep them in for a while, but I think ultimately, like, it's just going to be tough for this young Giants offense to put up points.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my Giants, dude, to win and cover here.
Wow,
Like, I know, dog. I know they got me drinking the Kool-Aid. I will acknowledge if they get this win, like, holy shit, Jackson Dart's gonna start getting some like
MVP,
some insane praise. Like, he's already the favorite for Rookie of the Year. If they beat Denver, I think he's gonna be a minus like 250 or some shit like that.
probably
To put this in perspective,
Puka missing time.
yeah, right. To put this in perspective to how good this Broncos defense has been. They're second in yards allowed per game by a not even a full yard to the Falcons. They've allowed only 6 touchdowns all year. The Ravens and Bengals have let up the most at 23. So 17 less touchdowns given up than the bottom of the league. So it's going to be tough to score points here, man. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think the Giants can actually squeak it out and get a win here because I think this pass rush can do enough against Bo Nix. And, you know, since that Dallas game, this Giants defense has really buckled down. I think what they did against Philadelphia was awesome. A lot of bend, don't break. And they definitely cleaned it up against the run after Barkley had a pretty good first drive. So I don't know how successful J.K. Dobbins is going to be in this game, but it's going to be on Bo Nix. I think Cortland Sutton is definitely a matchup problem for any one of the Giants corners. So that could be something to look out for. But I don't know, dude. I just think that the Broncos are vulnerable here. They also flew back from London on Sunday, where the Giants played on Thursday with 3 extra days rest and not having to travel, playing at home. So they're chilling, where Denver's got to fly all the way back from London. Yeah, I know this game obviously is in Denver, but I think that extra couple days of rest could be very meaningful to at least help them cover the spread. I know I'm really letting my nuts hang picking the money line again, but fuck it, dude. Let's rock.
Hey, well, let's see. Let's see. Is the homer correct? Only time will tell. No, but I mean, I would be excited. You know, after that Eagles game, there's no reason to not have some faith. I mean, I think they definitely can cover here. It's a tough battle, but hey, if they can beat this Broncos team with how good that defense is, I mean, it really is time to have some conversations about Dart and how he might be that guy.
Yeah, and I know they're really looking around the wide receiver market. I mean, Connor Hughes reported today that they're going big fish hunting, and that means
Garrett Wilson,
No, it's Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Jacoby Myers. So there's a lot of smoke out there. They're aggressive in trying to add a receiver, and I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. You don't get him before this Denver game because Pat Surtain's going to erase him anyway.
I don't even know even any of those. Like, I don't know if you necessarily like. Jacoby Myers is kind of gross.
I don't want Jacoby Myers at all. He's about to turn 30 years old and he wants a new contract. That's a nightmare.
Even
I don't know who's
Jalen Waddle, like Waddle, like Olave had said, want the most out of all of them, just because I don't know.
I guess it's the concussions, right? That's kind of your concern with Olave.
Well, yeah, I mean that would be my big concern.
But he's a
but
dog.
I think he fits better with neighbors too, because you got to think if you get Waddle or Olave, you're hoping they're there long term.
Yeah, that's the thing that they're saying is they want someone this year to help Dart develop, obviously, and stay competitive, but they also want someone that's going to be here long term. So I don't know if Myers makes sense that he's going to turn 30 years old and want a new deal.
And wants to, yeah.
So like as a benchmark, like you just mentioned Darius Slayton, he got $12 million a year in the offseason. Like Myers will probably get more than that. So I don't know if that's necessarily the smart play. Waddle's already under contract through 2028, so that's why it's a little interesting that his name's getting floated around in trade talks and that Miami would be willing to move him. That might indicate more of a complete fire sale, like let's rebuild this whole thing kind of thing for the Dolphins if they move Waddle.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure about that. I feel like a lot of people are just going to throw around basically every name in Miami because of that fact, but I don't necessarily know if they're going to just trade everybody. I mean, they definitely have some building blocks. It's like the same thing with the Jets. It's like, oh, everyone's for sale. Why? Because they're 0-6. They're just going to trade everybody. Like, yeah, Brees Hall I could see because he's got an expiring deal, and like some contender would be more than okay with giving up like a day 3 pick for a 1-year rental. But
Yeah, I mean, it's
you know,
also like I saw that Jalen Phillips' name is getting floated around too, and it's like he's really damn good. I know he's had some injury problems in the past, including concussions, but he's a damn good player. And I saw, like, of course, the Eagles are snooping around trying to get Jalen Phillips to boost up that pass rush, and that would be a nightmare for the NFC East if they got Jalen
yeah,
Phillips.
that
All right,
definitely
speaking of
would.
the NFC East, we got an NFC East battle. The highest total I might have ever seen for a regular season game, 55.5.
Yeah,
Commanders
a lot of
Cowboys.
points, and I still like the over.
And the Commanders are only a 1.5 favorite on the road with a 55.5 total here. Commanders 3-3, Cowboys 2-3-1. CeeDee Lamb, I believe, returned to practice today, which is massive for Dallas.
Yeah, I think he'll play.
I just don't know if he can tackle or cover anybody, but so that's why you have a 55.5 point total here. What do you got here, Reagan? Commanders fresh off a heartbreaking loss.
I'm going with the Commanders here. I think there's a good bounce back spot for them. I think their defense is still serviceable, where Dallas's is obviously terrible. I think this will be a shootout, but I'm going to go with the team that I believe is better, the team that was in the NFC Championship last year. I think Bill has a big game here. I think you could throw him in big dogs if we're looking for some players. I think Jayden has a nice bounce back game here. Debo, big game as well. Hopefully Terry should be back in this matchup because that'll give a big boost to this offense as well. Dallas side of things, like, yeah, they'll produce, but I just think this defense is going to hold them back in a lot of games. And there's always a world where Dak has some costly turnovers, like we've seen in the past, and it's like, well, if he's not Superman, like, this team's not going to have a chance. So he genuinely needs to be Superman every single game for them to have a chance to win. With how bad this defense is.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there. He does have to be Superman, but I'm predicting him to be Superman yet again this week because he loves playing in Jerry's world. So give me the Cowboys here. The Cowboys said there is a, quote, good chance that Lamb is back this week, practice in a limited capacity today. Would love to see a full practice either Thursday or Friday. But with that added wrinkle, I don't know how the Commanders are going to cover CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, particularly at Jerry's world. And Ferguson, who's been a dog. Yes, he has been. He's been scoring a shit ton of touchdowns. I see a 34-31 type of game. Like, genuinely, I think it's a goddamn shootout. I think this Cowboys receiving core is going to take advantage of that Commander secondary. And, I know you mentioned Bill. I got a problem with fumbleitis. I'm allergic to it, So I don't know if I could bank on a guy that just had a pretty bad fumble last week. But someone that is piquing my interest is Jayden Daniels. I don't know what his odds would be. I think they'd be plus money. And I like getting plus money. I usually have more luck when I get some plus money guys in there than go with the chalk. So yeah. I think Jayden's an interesting one in this spot. How many touchdowns does he have this year? He hasn't even scored yet this year. I mean, is he due or what?
Well, he missed 2 games too, so that definitely factors into that.
Yeah, he hasn't scored in 4 games. He has not scored. Like, that just screams due to me, especially when you see a point total of 55.5.
Yeah, and they do like to draw up some sort of red zone runs a lot, and he has the scrambling ability, and that's why Vegas gives it a plus 125 on. So give me that juice.
Yeah, I like those odds. And he's also a big dogs legend. He cashed for us last year in week 3 or week 4. I forget which one, but it was like plus 1,800. Big dog's biggest hit, I think. And Jayden Daniels is a monster part of that. So he's in the Big Dogs Hall of Fame. So sometimes you got to go back to the well there and just trust your guys that have the gold jackets.
For sure.
All right, man. Packers, Cardinals, the next game, the last game in the 4:00 slate. Green Bay 3-1-1, Arizona 2-4. Packers 6.5 point favorites on the road with a 44.5 point total. I do not know if Kyler Murray is gonna suit up in this one because they said last week he had a chance to play, but it also could be a multi-week absence. He did return to practice today, so with a midfoot sprain, I'm gonna assume Murray's playing at the 6.5.
Yeah, that to me, I don't even know. I mean, the way Jacoby Brissett played last week, like, they almost beat the Colts in Indy, and the team looked good. So I think this line is either plays. Like, I don't think the line's going to change that much. I was impressed with him. Plus there's still a solid roster that can win some games. So, I mean, 6.5 at home is still a lot of points for the Packers.
It
So
is.
I don't think it'll balloon up to like double digits if it's Brissett. So it doesn't matter to me. Either way, I'm taking the Packers, whether it's Murray or Brissett. I think they're going to dominate them defensively. I think they're the better team. And I think we haven't even seen the best of the Packers offense yet. So I think they're due for a big week too. Like, I feel like they've been very lackluster and just winning on the backs of their defense. Because even last week against Cincinnati, I wasn't super impressed with what I saw. I mean, their defense I was impressed with, of course, but not that offense. So outside of Josh Jacobs, but I think it'll be another big Josh Jacobs game here. Maybe throwing Josh Jacobs 2+ touchdowns in big dogs. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, because he's such a lock to score, but it's like, what, at minus 200? Like, how much are we really doing there?
Yeah,
maybe.
but
Depends how juicy we get.
not. Yeah, I don't think we should do that. But Christian Watson as well may be back in this, so that'll be a massive ad for them as well. But yeah, give me the Packers here to cover and win. And Cardinals are just gross right now. They might not have Marv either in this one. I know he left last week with a concussion, so it's hard to gauge that. But you got to assume if a guy gets concussed, he's probably going to miss a game after that fact. I mean, it's pretty rare with the protocol and stuff. So, no Kyler, no Marv. You're on your third and fourth and fifth string running backs right now. It's going to be asking a lot out of Trey McBride and, potentially Jacoby Brissett. So I'm good. I'm going to go with the Packers.
Yeah, I got to go with the Packers here, dude. Like, it's not even like a lot of stats going to tell the story. Like, let's be honest, they're the much better team right now. Yeah, they already had a bye, so they're pretty fresh, where Arizona got a couple, I don't want to call them bad wins, but they beat some bad teams in the first 2 weeks, and we kind of seen who they are in my perspective. And yeah, I mean, the Packers are the 5th ranked defense in terms of yards allowed per game, and Arizona sits 24th. And I'm like, okay, now look at who's not playing for Arizona potentially on offense. And even if Murray's back, like, he doesn't instill a lot of confidence in me that he's going to lead this offense and put up a big number, particularly with the way that he struggles to get the ball downfield. And with no Marv, it's like, all right, it's got to be a monster Trey McBride game. But, these Packers linebackers can fly around, dude. They're athletic in Cooper and Walker. So I think they kind of pose a lot of matchup problems for Arizona. They're the better team here. Jacobs is going to run the ball down this team's throat. I think Jordan Love, like, Arizona's actually been weaker against the pass than the run, which I guess makes sense when you think about how many resources they put into that defensive front this offseason. But I think the Packers and Josh Jacobs are like almost matchup proof, and that they're still going to run the ball down your throat. And Jordan Love work play action off that, find Tucker Kraft and Romeo Doubs, who's been getting a shit ton of targets. So, yeah, I think Romeo Doubs actually is a sneaky flex play this week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I definitely think he is. I mean, it's whenever there's bye weeks and all these injuries and stuff, you got to get creative. Like, one of my leagues, I just made the choice recently. I'm going 2 tight ends because I got some buys, I got some injuries. I am
12 personnel.
So I am. I'm going Michael Mayer and Kate Otten in my starting lineup. It's rough, bro. Because I got Derrick Henry on bye. I'm missing Bucky Irving. I can't play Michael Carter right now. I mean, after last week and him getting the weird late scratch, I don't want anything to do with that. Like, I got Travis Hunter, Brandon Ayuk, but so I mean, my lineup's still sick. I got Bill, Jonathan Taylor, Debo, St. Brown, but even Woody Marks is my other flex. So it's ugly. I mean, I'm still projected 130, but I'm going with Michael Mayer and Cade Otton. So sometimes you just got to get creative. So I would take Romeo Doubs if he was on my waivers right now to throw on my flex.
Yeah, it's much safer play than Cade Otton. But hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Atlanta at 3-2. At the San Francisco 49ers, 4-2. San Fran, 2.5-point favorites here. Total 47.5. You mentioned earlier that Kittle most likely back in action this week. I'm curious, is it going to be Brock Purdy or Mac Jones? I think that's a very interesting question. But with the way Mac Jones has been slanging that thing, does it matter in your mind?
No, I don't care who plays. I'm taking the Niners regardless. I like the way both quarterbacks will slang that thing. Whoever plays, I'm probably taking over 300 passing yards in this game. I think this game's going to be super high scoring. Over under implies it's going to be super high scoring at 47.5. Battle of debatable the 2 best running backs in football right now. Between Bijan and McCaffrey. But getting Kittle back is a massive upgrade no matter who the quarterback is. He's going to get a ton of targets. Jennings hopefully is more healthy in this one, but even like Kendrick Bourne, man, has been a stud for them, like a stud. So
Yeah.
if he's in your waivers, go pick him up as well, like back-to-back 100-yard games. Really just a case of the rich get richer. Like most teams, like, their wide receiver 4 or 5 on the depth chart doesn't just step in and have, back-to-back 100-yard games. But for the Niners, there's due. And he's been great. So, actually not only back-to-back 100-yard games, but back-to-back 142-yard games, believe it or not. That's kind of insane that he's at 142 yards in both of his past 2 games.
Wow.
Weird. But it's weird. Also funny to see that in, 2 games he has like the majority of his yards. Like I don't know. But look at Rico Daddle too. I mean, like all of his yards came in like 90% of his yards are in a 2-game span. So
any given Sunday, dude.
Mm-hmm. But give me the Niners.
I'm also to go with the Niners, man. I think being at home here, Kittle back. Purdy did practice in a limited capacity today with the turf toe, so I kind of think he's going to play. I just think this is more about the Falcons for me, like how different they are at home than compared to on the road, and I think they're getting a lot of chatter now after beating Buffalo, which they were also off a bye. Right. So I think that needs to be taken into account. They had a lot of rest, a lot of time to prepare for that game. And there's no doubt they're the number 1 defense right now in terms of yards allowed per game. They're the number 2 offense in yards per game. And, Bijan and London, one of the best 1-2 punches in the league. But when I see a guy like Jordan Schultz, I don't know your thoughts on Jordan Schultz. I think the guy is so fucking fake. It's unbelievable with his tweets. But he set out a whole tweet like the Falcons are elite. They should be considered amongst the NFC's best. I'm like, all right, who the fuck's paying you for this tweet, dude? Like the same Falcons team that just lost 30-0 to Carolina a couple weeks ago. Like that's the elite team you're talking about? Like, I don't think so. I think the Falcons are a streaky team. I think they can beat anybody with their star power at any given Sunday.
As we saw, last weekend.
But we've also seen Michael Penix throw up absolute duds. And I know with no Nick Bosa and no Fred Warner, the odds of him throwing up a dud are probably slim. But shit, dude, Robert Saleh's a good coach. He's going to have a good game plan. San Fran's at home with the reinforcements coming on offense. Like, I just think they're the better team. Like, the Falcons have burned me so much in the past. It's just hard for me to trust them. And it's hard for me to think that Penix can replicate what he did and have another big game, like given what we've seen from him. So I think if he does go into San Fran here and light the scoreboard up and they score 30 points and win, like he's going to start gaining a lot more respect. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. It's definitely tough because, we've seen such highs and lows of this Atlanta team. And it's like, we don't know which one we're going to get. Are you going to get the one that lost to the Panthers on the road 30-0 or the one that just waxed the Bills on Monday Night Football at home?
And that's the thing. They lost on the road to Carolina, got waxed. They beat the Bills off a bye at home. Like, it's not just your opponent. It's when you play them and those other factors like rest come into play. So that's the reason I got to go with the Niners here. All right, Monday Night Football, dude. We got 2 games, and they staggered them, a 7-start and a 10-start, which is beautiful. We're going to start with Tampa Bay at Detroit. The Bucs 5-1, in my opinion, who should be the MVP favorite, Baker Mayfield, at the Lions. Lions are 4-2 off a loss against Kansas City on Sunday Night Football last week. Detroit, 5.5-point favorites, though, with a total of 52.5. I think that line is definitely accounting for the injuries at wide receiver for Tampa Bay. No Emeka Buka for sure. I don't know the status of Evans or Godwin. But we know no Bucky Irving as well for Tampa Bay. So I think that's why you see a 5.5 spread here. But the total remains at 52.5, which is very high. So Vegas obviously thinks that Tampa Bay could score regardless of who's lining up out wide or next to Baker Mayfield. So your thoughts here, man? I'm very, very high on the Bucs. I love Baker, but this seems like a tough spot for me at Detroit.
Yeah, I'm taking Detroit for sure here. Great bounce back spot. A lot of people may be high on Tampa Bay, and I am, but ultimately there's a chance they're without their top 3 weapons and their top running back. We already know Bucky's going to miss. We know Godwin's going to miss, and we definitely know Puka is going to miss. So, and Evans is questionable with the hamstring. I don't think he's practiced this week. So, he might be without some of his top options. And yeah, I think the Lions will adjust to that factor, going against a lot of backups in Sterling Shepard, Tez Johnson. I will say Kate Otton's out there. Go pick him up. I would imagine he's going to fetch a lot of targets as the established option. But I think the Lions get it done here. This offense is going to cook, and I think it might be tough for this Bucs offense to cook with just all these injuries. And they still have guys on the line that are injured, so it might just be a little too much for Baker to overcome. But it's hard to count him out. It really is, but I have to. So Lions to win, Lions to cover. I could see it being like a touchdown now.
Yeah, I'm not fully counting them out. I have the Bucs covering the 5.5, but losing the game. I could see like a 34-30 type of game, 28-24. It's just, I also got to take into account that the Lions don't have Brian Branch either with that 1-game suspension after a stupid mistake. Because you're like, all right, you have a full strength Lions secondary against all those beat up Bucs receivers. You favor Detroit, but with no Branch, things get a little bit more interesting in my opinion. I just think Baker's got balls, dude. Like, the guy's just playing unbelievable ball right now. He's energizing his team. He's a winner. Like, he really is a winner that I think he can keep them in this game. I do think that Tampa Bay's defense might actually match up decently well with Detroit's offense. I know Detroit's elite, the run game and the pass game, right? But that Tampa Bay run defense is no joke, where I think they can kind of neutralize the Gibbs and Montgomery duo enough to keep them in it. But yeah, I mean, Detroit's at home, dude. They look so good before that loss to Kansas City. It's just really, really hard to beat them in that dome. They really just light up the scoreboard. So, I mean, maybe if we could, I don't like doing this and having Monday night and big dogs, but I really think Amon-Ra St. Brown, with a shit ton of targets last week, only had 9 catches for 50 yards or something like that. I really think he goes nuts in this one for 100 and a touchdown. And I think it's a really good spot when you consider the strengths and weaknesses of this Tampa Bay defense.
Hey, nobody said you can't put a big dog on Monday nights. You chose to keep it to just Sunday.
It would be nice if it's the last leg and we get to sweat it out and be excited for Monday. I might have talked myself into it, having big dogs first Monday night guy in there. And it might be St. Brown, dude. I really like St. Brown against this Bucs defense in this spot. I really do. Yeah, I talked myself into it. We're doing it. I know you just said he's your wide receiver 1 the rest of the way, so you got to be on board with that.
No, I'm just saying I don't care. Why can't it be a Monday night game?
Yeah, why not?
It really can't be a Thursday night game only because the other lines aren't out, but there's no reason it can't be Monday night. The lines will be out by then.
Yeah.
And worst case, if for some reason it got ruled out, all right, we hit for 3 legs.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point as well. Yeah, all right, fuck it, dude. We just locked in our second guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So we got St. Brown and Judkins. We need to do a little bit more research for the next two.
I thought we were doing Jayden.
Oh, and Jayden. That's right. We got Jayden. So that's 3 guys. Yeah. That's 3 guys in here. We need the other one. Rico Dowdle's definitely really tempting, but I need more clarity on Chuba Hubbard, man. I really do. I'm trying to look at what I did last year, and when I hit. Oh, I deleted it. I thought I had it because I think I had Jayden and Amon-Ra St. Brown in one parlay that hit last year. So we're only.
You can go back and look on the Instagram. They're there. They're there.
They are on the Instagram. Hey man, we're still up 30.75 units all time. So that's still pretty good. All right, last game: Texans at Seahawks. The 10:00 Eastern game. I really hope I can stay up for this one because, hopefully big dogs just cashed. Amon-Ra scored. Vibes are high. We want to watch another game and just enjoy it sweat free. That's the game plan here. Houston at 2-3. Seattle at 4-2. Seattle 3.5-point favorites. A total of 41.5. Pretty low, but when you look at what the Seahawks have done all year, they really haven't allowed a lot of points. So I think it makes sense, but I know you weren't very high in either one of these teams before the season. So which one of these teams is going to get the win in week 7?
I was wrong on Seattle, so I'm going to go with Seattle. I was very wrong on them. I still don't think I'm wrong on Houston, but Seattle, I couldn't have been further from the truth. They are a good team. I still don't love their offense, but their defense is sick. Honestly, both defenses are sick in this. I just think Seattle's offense is slightly better. they've done it against some good competition. Where Houston, like their 2 wins have been against the Titans, who were dog shit, and the Ravens, who had no Lamar and their defense is in shambles. So I don't know what to expect of the Texans right now. I mean, it helps they're coming off the bye, but still, 3.5-point favorites. Seattle's on fire right now. I'm going to roll with the team that's hot. I guess technically Houston has won 2 straight, but I just feel like Seattle's been playing some really great football right now, and I'm really buying into the hype, and would love to see Sam Darnold keep it rolling. And it also helps it's in Seattle, but yeah, give me the Seahawks in an ugly game where you're falling asleep at 1:30, and but ultimately I got Seattle winning.
So you don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game? You think it's going to be a game of the defenses, but Seattle's got a little bit more to get it done. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go with Seattle too. The hook kind of bothers me a little bit, but like, fuck it. Like, I think they're just playing better ball right now. And as you mentioned, like, Houston does not have a good win yet. And they looked pretty putrid before that, where Seattle's playing really good ball. We all know how hard it is to win at the 12th man in Seattle. So, I'm curious to see how much Stingley is on JSN. And if maybe they move JSN inside a little bit more to work out of the slot as opposed to being on the outside with Stingley. But, I think it is crazy because both these defenses have been good. Like, the Texans are 4th in total defense, and that doesn't even like seem right. Like they're 5th in passing defense, and it's like, okay, fine. Like, Seattle wants to run the ball anyways. Like, maybe this could be the spot where Walker has a monster game and like takes control of that backfield, because I think he's significantly outperforming Charbonnet right now, and I don't like the split. Now, if they give the ball to Charbonnet 15 times, like, fuck, I think Houston probably wins this game because that guy's ass cheeks. But I don't know, dude. They're at home. Like, JSN's cooking. Darnold's playing awesome football. A lot better than I thought he was. Like, I'll admit my mistake there too. I didn't think he was going to be playing this well outdoors, a new environment, like with really JSN as his only true weapon. But in that offensive line, which I really didn't believe in before the season, but shit, they're winning ball games, dude. And Mike McDonald's like a genius on the defensive side of the ball. He's got those guys playing some really good ball right now. So I got to go with the home team, dude. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Maybe if the Texans had like a legit win, like if they beat the Ravens with Lamar, maybe my mindset would be a little bit different here. Yeah, I believe they're off a bye as well, right?
They are. Now they are off a bye, but like, I just don't care.
Yeah, I just don't think I care in this spot, really. So I'm going to go with Seattle to cover the 3.5. The hook does bother me, though. I could see a 3-point win.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly. But hey, it's one that you may fall asleep on when it ends up striking 12:30, 1 o'clock, and it's like, ah, shit, it's 4th quarter and it's 10:10. Time to go to bed.
Yeah, you wake up with the fuzzy eyes. You're like, oh, 4th quarter? Oh, I got to stay up now? Like,
oh, fuck, the wheel still has the wheel's still alive because it's 6-3 right now going into the 4th.
I could see that, dude. I could really see that happening.
Maybe I'll just put a no touchdown score on there.
Yeah. Hey, maybe for this game it makes sense. Don't do that for Tampa Bay, Detroit, though.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
All right, Felters, that's all things Week 7, man. Hit the comments. Let us know. Start, sit, trades. Like, what do you got, fantasy football? We love chopping it up. How's your team doing? Do you want your team to lose like Reagan, already rooting against his own team? Or are you like me at 2-4? Like, the world is our oyster right now with a young quarterback. But anything football, let us know. We'd love to chop it up.